What we are going to be talking about today is the guest user digital experience screen flows, right? Um, if you've been spending a lot of time building flows, at some point, you've probably touched also digital experience or, like in its own, let's say, old term, community forums, community website um, flows. And you've kind of opened up access possibly also to the guest user. And that comes with its own settings and tricks. That could be quite difficult for you if you're setting this up for the first time. So we are going to be talking about this topic today. And Yumi Ibrahimzade is our guest. Let me just introduce Yumi Ibrahimzade. He is a senior solutions architect with All Cloud Consulting, right, Yumi?
Yes, that's right.
And Yumi and I have known each other quite some time. We have also a very interesting history together that
Yeah.
kind of started with FlowFest version 1. We are going to get into that a little bit further. But in the end, Yumi is the first champion of FlowFest, the um, flow competition that we have set up. We have just completed together. After he became the champion, he also became a fellow judge, and we have just completed together the version 6. Version 7 is going to come up. This competition has matured in time quite well. But I mean, without further ado, let me just give the microphone to Yumi. Yumi, could you please introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, sure. So first I will share the screen so that we can also see it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, excellent.
Great. So I'm Yumi Ibrahimzade. I'm a senior Salesforce solution architect at a Salesforce partner called All Cloud. I've been working with Salesforce for 9 years now, and I have 29 Salesforce certifications. I have a blog called salesforcetime.com, which is mostly about flows. And I'm the winner of FlowFest version 1, as you said. And now I'm also the judge of FlowFest, and I'm also writing the challenges, some of the challenges of FlowFest. I have a Udemy course about Salesforce Flow. It has around 2,000 students with 4.7 out of 5 rating. So that's basically me, but I want to talk a little bit about Salesforce Time as well. So as I said, it's a blog, mostly about Salesforce flows. I write blog posts about some flow features, some best practices, workarounds, and I'm trying to write some unusual use cases, some strange workarounds that can be useful in many situations. And now I have some free flow packages that you can install. I mean, these are packages of flow actions or screen elements that you can install for free. And I have around 45 to 50,000 organic page views per month. And recently, Salesforce Ben and also Apex Hours chose Salesforce Time as one of the most popular Salesforce blogs of the year.
Congratulations, Yumi. That's massive. Because I've seen that list, and most of the people on that list have been doing this for a very, very long time. And, they are contributing to the community, to the ecosystem quite well. But I mean, I noticed that your SEO, your presence online is very strong. And, the solutions that you provide are quite custom solutions, kind of creating, like, let's say, uh, solutions and, offering kind of tips and tricks and even sometimes invocable Apex codes for, the things that you can't really accomplish out of the box in Salesforce. Thank you for that.
Thank you too. Yeah, I'm trying to write some creative solutions and trying to give some free components to the community so that everyone can enjoy these.
Excellent. Okay, so for those of you, I mean, most probably if you're watching this broadcast, you know me as well. Let me take a moment to introduce myself as well, Yumi. Is that good?
Yeah, sure. I will stop sharing.
Okay, let me just share my reference here, reference slide, and let me just show my uh, links here as well. So I'm Andy Enginutkan. I'm a Salesforce MVP, and I call myself the Chief Content Creator for Salesforce Break. I mean, my blog presence is not as strong as Salesforce Time, but I try and publish there. And on top of that, I link various different resources that I create to salesforcebreak.com, my domain. I'm available on LinkedIn, Twitter. On LinkedIn, I publish a weekly newsletter that you can subscribe to. I have a YouTube channel called Salesforce Break where I host my videos. I also have another YouTube channel that's in Turkish language that's focused on Salesforce content. And I also have a Udemy course myself, and I run a bootcamp course that takes 6 weeks to complete. It's a live course, and I'm starting new cohorts in January, English cohorts on 8th of January. And for the first time, I'm going to run also an evening cohort for the Eastern time, a daytime and evening cohort. And also I'm running now, this is going to be the second time, the cohort in Turkish language as well. That starts on the 9th of January. So if you're interested in any of that, you can go to salesforcebreak.com or flow-canvas.com. Thank you very much. Now, without further ado, let's go into, before we go into your presentation though, like can you tell us a little bit about FlowFest, right? Like you participated in the first FlowFest, and how did that experience go for you?
Yeah. So I started using Flow many years ago, actually, and it was called Cloud Flow Designer. At that time, it was built in Flash, and it was a classic UI, not even Lightning at all. And I found out about this tool, and I saw that it's really cool, and I can do many things with this. And I started to improve myself. Then at that time, it wasn't popular at all. No one that I know even knew about this tool. So I started to make some presentations, workshops, and training about this tool. And then I became known as the flow guy in the company. Then one day I saw about this flow fest on LinkedIn. I registered and I was chosen as one of the 100 participants. Then I entered this competition and I won. And you were my judge also there. Actually, that's how we met, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But we could meet even before that. Actually, we have a
Yes.
history because we both graduated from the same university. We both
Yes.
work in the same building, not in the same company, but in the same building. And I think we both lived in the same area, in the same time zone, time,
Yeah.
but we never met. And one day in FlowFest, you came as a judge.
I
That's
was
how.
randomly chosen to judge Yumi's flow, and it turns out we pretty much follow the same footsteps in life. He is a much younger and more handsome version of me, but he's he's a colleague who's very capable in flows and a great contributor for the community. So, without further ado, Yumi, take it away and show us your tips and tricks for community flows, digital experience
Yeah,
flows.
sure. I will share the screen again. You see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so before I start with the main topic, I want to make a very short introduction to flows. I'm sure that all of you know what flow is, but I need to make a short introduction for those who may not know about flows. So flow is a very powerful business automation tool of Salesforce. And after the retirement announcement, let's say, of workflow rules and process builder, now is the one and only automation tool that you need to use. And because of this, I think any Salesforce admin should get familiar with flows, because this is something that you will need to use almost every day. There are endless use cases that you can do with flows, and it's a very popular topic right now. So in each release, we are getting tons of new features. So let's continue. How to launch flows. So first of all, there are a few flow types, and one of them is a screen flow. Today, I will focus on screen flows. A screen flow is the only flow type that supports the screen element, which means that it doesn't run in the background. It needs a user interaction. So which means that a user needs to click a button or action or view a lightning page or an experience page that has a flow in it. Or you can also put screen flows to utility bar. So there are many ways to launch flows. But at the end, the flows that you build are for your users. They are both for your internal and external users. So internal users are most probably your employees. They have license to log into your Salesforce environment. And the external users, they also have users to your Salesforce, but they are not logging into your Salesforce. They are logging into your experience cloud pages. But at the end, the common thing here is that they are both your users. They have usernames and passwords, and most importantly, you are paying for a license for them. That's the most common thing. But then here comes our main question. What about the guest users? So guest users are actually not users in your system. These can be anyone that has a link to your public experience page. And because they are not users and they don't have username, password, they don't log in. And you don't even pay nothing for these users. You are not consuming any license for these people. But because they are guest users, they also don't have permission to run flows. So you need to give permissions for specific screen flows one by one for the guest user profile.
Can I add something here, Yumi?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to give everybody a brief background on security around communities. I don't know, like 3 years back, maybe, the security around running flows and also accessing records inside Salesforce for guest users used to be weaker, right? And, we could actually grant access for the guest user to view records in Salesforce much easier. And we could also grant the guest user to run flows without picking flows individually, right?
Yes.
And Salesforce was criticized for that, several times, and Salesforce has been tightening the security with releases phase by phase. And what they want us to do is they want us to specifically and explicitly kind of set up the guest user to run a particular flow to access certain records by creating sharing rules, and then pointing the guest user to those certain subset of records. And that's important because there are some risks associated with sharing the records, right?
Yeah, right. Because you are at the end sending a link to your public community, so anyone with this link can view your records. So it's a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
And they changed the way of giving permissions for the flows. So instead of just giving the run flows permission on the profile, now you need to give permissions for specific flows. So if you want to give a permission for this flow, you need to add this flow to their profile. You don't have a generic run flows permission for the guest user profile.
Excellent.
Yeah. So let's go back to the main topic. So how to make flows publicly accessible. So we are talking about screen flows in public experience sites. First of all, you need to build a flow, of course, and then experience site. And then you need to put your flows to the experience site. And this site should be public, so anyone with a link can open the page and, of course, run the flow. So in order to do this, you need to give permission to the guest user profile, as we said. And because these users are not logging in, actually, these are not users at all. These are all guest users. So we don't know who they are. So if someone runs a flow, opens the page and runs a flow, they will see the same thing. If you open the same page, you will see the same thing. So we need to somehow pass some parameters so that the flow will understand that this is Andy and this is Yumi. So they need to see different records or different things in the flow. So we need to find a way to pass parameters to get the relevant data. And I will show you how to do that. So some possible use cases using these public screen flows. So first of all, you can use a flow to collect data and create records in Salesforce. So for example, you can build a web to lead, web to case, or web to anything form using flows. And don't forget that this is a flow. So you don't need to just create a lead and that's it. It's a flow. So you can create multiple records related to each other. You can send emails, run some Apex, anything. It's a flow at the end. You can use any possibility of flows in these public screen flows. The other example is that you can create a survey using a screen flow. For example, when a case is closed, you can send an email to the customer with a link to a public community that has a survey, a screen flow that can be used as a survey so that they can fill the survey and you can get a feedback related to the closed case. Another example is when you are sending commercial emails, especially, you must include an unsubscribe link in your emails. So you can build a public experience site with a flow in it that can be used to unsubscribe the contacts. So you can just mark a checkbox on the contact lead or any custom object, whatever you need. And next time you are sending these commercial emails, you won't send the email to these people because they opted out. And another example is tracking an order or case status. So for example, when a customer places an order or opens a support ticket, you can send an email to them with a link to a public community, an experience site that has a public screen flow. And this screen flow just can show a data table of related orders or related case records with their statuses. So that they can track what's the status of their order, what's the status of their case. So these were just some simple and common use cases. Now I want to log into Salesforce and show you some examples. So I want to start with a very simple flow here. So this is a flow that can display cases to the customer. So it has an account ID input variable. Here we understand that it's an input. So as an input, it gets the account ID. If there is an account ID, it's doing a get for the cases. It's a very simple flow. It gets all the cases related to this account. Then it displays the cases with their status values. But here I have a little bit trick because instead of checking if this account ID is null or not, I'm checking its format because accounts always start with 001 and the valid ID should be 15 or 18 characters long. So I'm checking the format of it. Why I did this is that when you do a get according to an ID, and if the ID is not in correct format, so if you just write a.a.a. as the ID, instead of just not finding a record, it fails because it expects the ID to be valid format. So instead of failing the flow, from the beginning, I check if it's a valid format. If it's not valid at all, just display it's not found. So let's put this flow to a public experience site. Here I have a public experience site. Here is how I understand that this is public. There's a checkbox here that says public access. When it's marked, it becomes a public experience site. So right now it's an empty screen. There's nothing in it. So I want to put a flow here. I will put it here. From here, I need to choose which flow. So it's called display cases. So I will publish this. Let's copy the link of it. So in order to prove this, I will open an incognito so that we can see it. And the name of the page is display. So when I open this, you will see that it doesn't run the flow. Okay, so it's still a blank page. The reason for this is we need to give access to the guest user profile. So I will show you how to do that. So this is the flow. I go here, and from here, I say edit access. Then I need to override the default behavior and choose the profiles to give the access. So I want to give the access to the system admin profile, but the guest user profile is not here. You cannot give it from here. So let's save this. Here is how to give the permission to the guest user profile. So while you are in the experience page, go to the settings. If you mark this, it creates a guest user profile. Here you can see it. Here is a link to this guest user profile. So I will click it. Now it will open the profile in the regular profile page. But if you just go to the profiles in setup, you won't see this profile. So this is the way to open the guest user profile. So
and the default naming is named after the site itself, right?
Yes, right. So this site is called survey.
Yeah.
That's why the guest user profile is survey profile.
Yes.
Because I'm using the same experience site for surveys, which I will show you later. So from here, I go to enabled flow access. So it's here. So this is the flow. So in this environment, I have many flows, and only a few of them were available here, as you saw. So these are the flows that I override the default access by using this button. So now that this profile has an access, let's go to the same page and refresh. Okay, so at least now we have something, right? There's a flow, but it says, sorry, we couldn't find your data in the system. Of course it couldn't find because it doesn't know what to find. We need to pass the account ID somehow. So let's go back to the experience side. So this is our flow. Here we see the input variable. So we need to pass something to this account ID. So I cannot just hard code an account ID like this, right? I need to pass it dynamically from the URL. So how I do this is the format. So for example, if I want to pass the ID like this, let's say like this, so the parameter will be called ID. It doesn't need to be equal to the input variable from flow. It can be anything. So let's call it ID. So I will say like this. This is the format. So once you do this, it gets the ID from the URL and it passes it to the account ID input variable of the flow. So now let's save this. Let's publish it. Okay, now let's run this. Okay, so now it displays the cases. So let's assume that a customer opened the case and we send an email to the customer. Okay, we got your request. You can just track the status of your support ticket from this link. And they got this link. And when they enter, they see this data table with the new case, let's say it's this one, plus the old cases related to the same account. So how does it know the account? From here. So this is important because right now, this is a guest user. It's not a user in your system. Right now, they are seeing case records from your system. The reason is that, first of all, we pass the ID of the account. Secondly, this flow is running in system context, just like an admin. So it has access to any data from the system. Although it's cool and great workaround, it's a bit dangerous because right now we are passing something so the user can the customer, let's say, can change the value from the URL. And if they are lucky, they can find. Right now, I couldn't find anything, but if you are lucky, you can find it. It's hard, of course, because it's 18 characters long ID, but it's not impossible. So for this, I have some best practices and some recommendations. First of all, don't pass any personal data from URL. Don't pass any name, email, phone, or don't even display any email, name, phone, nothing. And secondly, don't pass any parameters from URL that is easy to guess. So if it's related to case, for instance, don't pass the case number like this, because, okay, it will work for this case, but it's really easy to guess. So the customer can change it to this and find another case. So I recommend you to add more layers, a security layer for this, so that you can pass multiple parameters. So you can pass case number and the case ID, so that it will be impossible to guess both of the parameters correctly at the same time. And another recommendation is that there is an action that I have on Salesforce Time. You can also install it. It's using a SHA-256 algorithm to hash text. So it gets any text input and it creates a 64 characters long unique ID, an ID that you can use instead of the regular Salesforce ID. The thing is that, first of all, it's 64 characters long. It's much harder, impossible to guess. Plus, it's not following any pattern. So, for example, when it's an account, it always starts with 001. So if you are very lucky, you may guess an ID correctly, but here it's impossible. And in the world, it's also known as impossible to guess. And it's also even used in crypto, by the way, so it's really secure. So this was one example. I will move to the second example. I'm closing this. So the second example is about newsletter subscription that I have on my website. So this is my blog, salesforcetime.com. So at the end, this is a WordPress. I could have used some plugins for the newsletter subscriptions, but I said this is a blog about Salesforce Flow. So let's do it with Flow. So here I put a button to subscribe to newsletter. So when you click this, it takes you to a public experience site with a flow. This is just a logo on the experience site, but this thing is a flow. Basically, we have just 3 fields. I will just fill this like this. You can consider this like a web to lead form. Well, it's creating a custom object. So let's click next. Because it's a flow, I have all the capabilities. Of course, I'm using a confetti here from unofficial SF. So it created a new subscriber in my system. So let's go to my environment. These are the subscribers created today. Okay, so it came here. As I mentioned before, I have an action that can hash any string, any text. So it hashes the ID and generates a much longer unique ID for this person. So after this, I will start to send some newsletters to this subscriber. And in each newsletter, there will be a small link to unsubscribe. So I can send an email now, but instead of this, I will just open the page. I will just I will click on the button from the email, but I have it also here as a hyperlink formula. So let's open this. So they will see the newsletter, and if they want to unsubscribe, they can click this. So let's see what's opened here. So first of all, it says, "Hi, Yumi." So it knows that I'm Yumi. How does it know? It's that I'm passing an ID, but pay attention to this. So it's not the regular Salesforce ID, it's this one. So I'm doing the get according to this one. So you cannot just change the URL and find someone else. Yeah, it's impossible to guess. Okay, so I want to show you one more thing here, is that this is actually the same flow. If you paid attention, I use the same flow here in order to subscribe. And now I have the same flow in order to unsubscribe. You can see that the URL is the same. So the difference is that here I pass the ID of the person. It knows that this is someone from Salesforce. This is a subscriber. And here I pass another parameter, action new. It knows that, okay, this is a new subscriber request. So according to the parameters that I pass, it knows how to behave. Okay, so let's move to the other example. So the next example is about surveys. So in this environment, I have some cases, support tickets of the customers, let's say. Once a case is closed, let's change the status to closed. I have an email alert, very simple, that says, your case is closed, thank you. An email like this. So let's see if I got it. Yeah, so my case is closed. It's a very simple flow, something that you could even do with workflow rules. Yeah, it's just sending an email. But here in the email, I have a link to open the survey. Let's click this. But before that, I want to copy the link address. So before that, this is what I told you before. So instead of just passing the case ID, in order to improve the security of it, I am also passing the case number. So if you are trying to change values from the URL in order to find another customer's data, another case data from my Salesforce, you cannot find it. I mean, you can change it to this, but you cannot guess the ID, both the ID and the case number correctly at the same time. Because when I do the get in my flow, I get case that ID equals to this and case number equals to this. So it's impossible that you will guess it correctly at the same time. So let's open this. There are many survey tools that you can use. Also, Salesforce has a survey tool, but this is built with public screen flows. Actually, this is just a screen flow and a screen component for star rating. So basically, you choose stars here, but the output of this component is just a number. So if I choose 5 stars, the answer is 5 for this. If I choose 3, it's 3, and this is 4. This is something that you can install for free also from Salesforce Time. Let's write the
Super cool.
feedback. Thanks. Yeah, I like it too. Let's save it. Always confetti, of course. Now let's go to the environment. So these are the survey answers. Okay, so it's created today. This is the time here right now. Let's see. Okay, so first of all, it knows that this person filled it and this account. How does it know? Is that we just passed the ID of the case. So from the case, it found who I am. And these are the answers for the questions. And this is the free text that I wrote. So let's open it again. Because I already filled it, it will show them as default values. But I can just change them like this. And next time I run it, it's updated. So if I go to Salesforce, I will see that this number has changed from 5 to 1. So because right now it's a record in the system, I can just run reports, create a dashboard, because I know which case it's related to, and I have the case owner also. I can create reports of the cases with the survey answers so that I can find our best, let's say, support agents according to the customer feedback. So I think it's very useful workaround, let's say. And again, I want to mention, it's free. I mean, it's a public screen flow, no license, nothing, a custom object. You can just use your case, even if you don't want to use any custom object for this. So it's a totally free solution. So I will show another example now. But before I show you this example, I want to make a short introduction why I did this. Because as you may understand, I really love flows. At work, I'm working with flows all the time. But even after work, at home, I'm working with flows. I'm building things, trying to find some cool solutions. I'm writing blog posts, even at the weekend. I'm always with flows. But when I build something big and then I see that it's working well, I get really excited and I want to share it with people around me, including my parents, my friends, which are not really related to Salesforce. Yeah. Just because I'm excited. I show them, yeah, look what I did, and they see a field is updated. Okay. So this is the cool thing? Okay. So I wanted to prove them that I'm really doing cool things. Okay. So I want to do something that they will really think that it's cool. So that's why I wanted to build a game using a public ScreenFlow. And because it's a public ScreenFlow, I can just send them a link and tell them to play. No screenshots, nothing. So I will show you what I built. It's basically a very simple game. It's a dice roll game. It's rolling a dice. It's again, experience site. This is the homepage of the experience site. Right now, there's no flow here. It's just tile. This is the game. This is the leaderboard. Let's start the game. So now this is a page with a ScreenFlow. So it goes to a login page. But just from the beginning, we said that there's no login. These are not users in the system. So what is this login? Actually, it's not a login. Okay, I just called it login, but it's not. So you just provide a name here. Like I will put it like this, and I will call it live@live.com. It's fake, but I did it just because next time you come and want to play the game, you enter your information here, like credentials, then it will find you in the system. It's just saving it to a custom object. It's not a user. So that next time you enter this information, it will find you and you will continue from where you stop. You won't start from the beginning. So let's not forget these details. The name is Yumi and live@live.com. Let's log in. Okay, so it says welcome. Looks like you haven't played before. It's explaining you the game. So I'm starting with 1,000 points, and there are two modes of this game. At the end, it will just roll a dice. I can guess odd or even. It's like 50-50 chance. Or I can guess the exact number, but it's harder to guess because there are 6 numbers. Let's play. So this is a screen. This is just an image. There's nothing special about this. Till now, what we saw is pure flow, no custom things here, not yet. So I'm starting with 1,000 points. I want to guess odd or even, and I say it's even. So I put 100 points, let's say. Okay, so it's 3, I lost. So I lost my 100 points. Now my score is 900. Play again. I will again say even. I will say 300. This time I won, of course, confetti. I won. So this is my current score. So now let's say I'm bored. Okay, I don't want to play it. And the next day I come to this page again. Okay, it asks for my name, email, live@live.com. It says welcome back. Okay, it found me and my current score is this. I'm not starting from beginning. Play. Now I can just, I can continue playing. Now let's put 400 and let's try. Okay, I lost and this is my current score. So let's go to Salesforce and see how it looks like. So I have a custom object. It looks like someone else is also playing. Okay. Oop. Yeah, that's bad. So let's go to this game. So I have the email. My starting score was 1,000. These are roll-up fields. Okay. So I have a child object, dice roll rounds. It's like the tracking of what I did. So I started with this. I said, okay, I'm guessing even. I bet 100. If I go inside this, I can see the history. I lost because the result was 3. So I lost minus 100. So at the end, I have a roll-up summary that shows my current score. I played 3 rounds. I lost 500, but won 300. So I started with this. So my current score is 800. So it's actually a simple game. I'm just generating a random number in the flow, and I'm trying. I just have a decision to see if the random number is equal to what I guess, or the even or odd. It's
Yumi,
a
what did you use to create the random number?
yeah. So there is a trick about this. I use the current daytime seconds.
Yes, that's what I do too.
Yeah. Because when you use the current date time and you take the seconds, I just take the right, the last character of it. So which is the
Last
second?
digit.
Yeah,
Yes.
last digit. So it can be from 0 to 9, right? So
Yeah.
half of them are even, half of them are odd. So
Yeah.
it's really 50-50.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So actually, it's a very simple flow. I will come to that. So let's go to the homepage. And I also have a leaderboard. Then people can see, always confetti. That's something that I always do. So here they can see the score of the people. And after this, I sent this to some people. I posted it on LinkedIn, I think. I also in the company page. So I saw that people started to play it, and I got the feedback that it's really addictive because of this leaderboard. They are really, trying to be the first one, and so I made a bomb here. So the I want to show you the last example. Again, it's a game, but it has a story behind it. And before that, I want to mention that it's one of my favorite flows that I have built so far. So before showing that, I will make you a short introduction. So if you know, there is a song contest called Eurovision. It's in Europe, but you don't really need to live in Europe in order to follow this or enjoy this. Yeah, it's a song contest. So countries sing a song, other countries give them a point, like they vote, and one of them win. So from my childhood, I remember that we always enjoyed this contest. And when they do the Eurovision, we used to come together with my wife, my parents, and friends to one place, one house, and watch this contest on TV. And then we used to have some paper, and we used to give points to the countries. So we were trying to guess the winner. So the points are from 1 to 12. You can give 12, 11, and 10 to only one country. So the 12 points that you gave means that you think this country will win. And same for 11, it means this country will be the second place. But then years passed now, and after the corona, so we all moved to different countries, and because of corona, we couldn't come together. So it became hard to play together, and you cannot do it from phone. You need to be together. So this year I said, okay, I will solve this issue. I will build a game that we can all play. So I built this entire game using a public screen flow, and I also shared with some people, and they loved it. They shared with their friends, and at the end, lots of people played it. So I will show you what I built, and we will play a little bit. So first of all, this is my environment. I have an object called Eurovision finalists. So there are 26 countries. These are the country names, the artist name, song name, flags, and the order. The order means that really Austria starts with this song. After this, Portugal continues with this song. So this is the order that they come to the television. So, and in the flow, I'm basically doing a big loop of these countries. So I will show you this flow so that you will understand better. And then we will play it a little bit because it's a long flow. And here I want to point to some tricks that I did. Actually it's a long flow. I won't go into detail of everything here. So basically I start with a decision. If the game is active, I have a custom label that says the game is active or not. If it's not an active game, you won't be able to play. That's the main thing. So again, I have a login page, and then I have one big loop. Okay, I have get finalists. These are these finalists basically. And then I start a loop. But most of the time we do loops in the background. We get records and a loop starts, and it updates some records, creates some records, but it happens on the background. This is a visual loop. Okay, so it starts with the first country, you click next, it goes to the next country, then next country. So basically you see the details about this country, the song name, the singer, then you give points. And I asked how much points you gave, because if you gave 12, 11, or 10 points, you can give these points only once. Then I check if you already gave it before. If you did, okay, you cannot give it again. So I display another screen. So I will show you something here. After logging in, I have refresh actions in few places. So I will show you what it means. So here is the game. It's just a welcome page. It's explaining the game that I explained you. Let's start this. Again, I will give it a name. So just like I did before, it will be the same one. Login. But this is unlike the dice roll game. This is not something that you will just play directly. You need to follow the song contest, which is on TV or on YouTube. You will listen to the song. After the artist finishes the song, you will give a point. So let's start. And I basically build this for mobile. So here it doesn't look so good. So let's do it a bit like this. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so I want to give points. Okay, Austria. You can see that Austria was the first one. So I got Austria. I see the name of the country, flag, artist, song. Then you listen to this song on the TV, on YouTube, or YouTube. You give points. Okay, I give 7 points. Save. Okay, you gave 7 points. What can I do here is I can give more points, which means go to the next one. Or I can go to the home page, or I can display points for this country. So let's do this. Okay, so these are the points that other people, there are 32 people voted for this country. You can see how much they voted for this country. Okay, so I want to go, because everybody is giving the points at the same time, you also have a refresh button. It's just doing the get again. It is nothing so interesting about this. I can go to homepage, okay, but I want to pay attention to something. So when I started, this was the link, only this. After I logged in, now it came here. Something came here to the URL. So if I go to the flow, you will see some refresh actions. So it's passing your ID to the URL, and it's just navigating to this URL. So the reason for this is we are playing this on mobile. You can by mistake do like pull to refresh, or you can by mistake just close the game and then open again. You forget your username, password. So here, what happens is that if you accidentally refresh the page, because I'm passing the ID, you don't need to log in again. I know who you are. You can just continue playing. So let's give points. The next one, Portugal. So it's just following the same order. And after the song contest ends, I close the game. So here I will show you how I close the game. I will go to the custom label. It can be a custom setting, custom method, anything, but I just use a custom label for this because this is the first thing that I check in the flow. So game status is active. It will be inactive. So if I run this, okay, so it ended, of course, confetti. So really Sweden won this year, and these were the top 3 countries, Sweden, Finland, Israel. And these are the winners. These are not the artists, by the way. These are the people that participated in this game. And according to this table, this person won with this score. So what does score mean? I have a rule in Salesforce that if you give 12 points to a country and it really wins the Eurovision, you get 10 points. If you give 11 points to a country and they really become the second place, you get 5 points. But if you say that this country will win, but they became the second, you cannot get 10 points, but you get less points. So according to this logic, this person won the game, but no prize. Yeah, they just won the game. So this is my Eurovision game. So it's still a live game. So I think this year also we will just use this flow with different countries and song names, and that's it. I mean, this is one of the flows that I'm most proud of. And
This is great.
Thank you.
I love it. Now I think you're gonna probably receive a lot of requests for you to build a fantasy league for football or something after this. But so
yeah, I will be at the World Cup. Yeah.
yeah, World Cup. So I mean, we have actually a couple of questions. We have just a few minutes left, so let's go through them quickly. First of all, there's a lot of love here online on LinkedIn for you. People say Yumi is the best. We love this one. And hello, everybody, and that kind of stuff. I love it. So there's a question that says, can you possibly create a flow solution to work with the product to object in Salesforce inside the Experience Cloud by any chance?
Yeah, I think there's no difference because in any case, our flow is working in system context. You can also see like browse system. So it runs like an admin. So yes, it can also do a get, update, create, whatever you need for the product to object as well.
Okay, well, Sumalata says we can go to the guest profile by typing guest in global search and select our guest user. From there, we can go to the guest profile. I did not know that. That's a great tip,
Yeah,
Sumalata. Thank you.
Yeah.
And there is a hello from Israel. There's a hello from Belgium. That's great. And this is brilliant. Another comment. So there's a question here, and there are 2 questions that are kind of related. One is, can you use reCAPTCHA? And the other question is, if I want to see the cases for a contact, can I use OTP?
Okay, so regarding the reCAPTCHA, there's no out-of-the-box solution for this reCAPTCHA, but I saw on unofficialsf.com a component that you can use for the reCAPTCHA. I didn't use it, but I saw someone that used it and it was working fine. So I think, yeah, you can do it. And for the contact, basically, what do you want to do? I think you want to send a one-time password, a verification code maybe to the email. And I think you can do it. The reason why I didn't do this in these environments is that these are all developer edition environments, and I have limited emails. So I'm trying to use less emails as I can. So basically, when they open the page, let's say, I don't know, any community page. So I show you that there was a login page, not this one, but let's say one of them. So you have a login page, you enter your email, and then because it's a flow, you have the email. Also from the contact, you have the email. You can generate a code in the flow. There are many ways, just like I did for the dice roll game. You can also generate a random number, maybe a longer one, and you can send the code, this random number or any text, whatever, as an email to the customer. So they will get it and they will need to type the same thing to the screen flow. Because you generated it in the screen flow, you have it as a variable. Now you have what the customer entered. So you can just use a decision to check if they are equal. If they are equal, you let them continue using flow.
Okay. So this is actually a good point for me to kind of inject and say this. Now, remember, digital experience is a product by Salesforce, and its use is limited by your license agreement. So, and for you to use logged in access on a digital experience site, you have to actually buy licenses. So whatever you do, there are gray areas, but whatever you do, you should not circumvent that. So if you are in any kind of doubt, check with your account executive and your license agreement. That's an important point also that we need to interject in here. And also, some of the functionality that we have demonstrated here comes with risks, data security, information security risks. So play with this at your own risk. So, you need to make a decision for your own organ, for your own environment, and check with your information security or data security experts inside and outside your organization. There is one more question related to sending out a confirmation email and using an organization-wide default address. I don't see there should be a problem doing that, but we will respond to these questions on LinkedIn and YouTube wherever they appear, because we see them even after the broadcast. And thank you very much. With that, I want to thank you, Yumi. This was a very exciting, very fun demo, and I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Have a great day, folks, and see you at the next broadcast.
Yeah, see you.